Your dealership might be stealing from you. I'm serious. I've seen it happen everywhere. Even the most honest, uptight, well record kept dealerships might be stealing from you. It's happened to me before. I'm going to explain to you in this video exactly how to find out if they are and how to prevent it in the future if it's been happening to you. And all jokes aside, my name is Anthony Spanos. I'm an ex-finance manager, general sales manager, and finance director, as well as a top salesperson who made $190,000 my first year in the industry. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of sales tracking. So I know I led with somewhat of a hook there, but it's true, and it has happened to me. Dealerships are comprised of people, right? And sometimes people make mistakes. That happens in the sales tower with sales managers, as well as with people in the accounting department. So sometimes numbers get mixed up or fudged, or maybe your name doesn't make it onto a deal, or maybe you were on a half deal and only your coworker got put on it, and so you didn't get the half deal. And stuff like this just happens, right? It's a normal thing, it's a human thing, but unfortunately, it does come about more often than it should. So how can you prevent that? Sales tracking, your own numbers, tracking your own sales numbers, super, super important. So there are other benefits to tracking your sales numbers as well, and I want to start there. Why do you want to track your numbers? Well, the most important reason why is because things that you pay attention to will grow. So if you want to make more money, you want to be more successful, you want to sell more cars, you should be tracking your numbers. You need to measure your own performance in order to change it, right? Super important. Nothing's going to change unless you're looking at it, paying attention to it. You have to start there and then you can scale it up. And I want to make this clear, relying on your dealership's systems, relying on your CRM, for example, to track your sales numbers is not going to cut it. Definitely not going to cut it. And for two reasons. Number one, if there are mistakes happening, the CRM isn't going to show it because it's a mistake, right? So the problem, you can't fix the problem with the problem, right? It's not going to happen. But also, if you're not being intentional and deliberate about tracking your numbers, it won't have that intended effect of growth, right? Of monitoring it, of measuring it. So you have to actually go do it yourself so that there's some effort put into it, some attention put into it in order to actually get the benefits out of it. The more you look at something, the more likely you are to improve on it, right? Every time you see it, it's a reminder not to let off the gas, right? So having that in front of your face often is going to be a very important piece to your success. Now, in terms of your dealership stealing from you, like I said, that's maybe some strong language. If it's a mistake, they're not exactly stealing from you. No one's necessarily at fault, but you do want to correct it, right? So I've had a dealership that I worked at not pay me correctly for months and months and months on end, right? Just really, really bad accounting practices. And unfortunately, I had a lot of backlogged unpaid wages over time. And I had to fight to get those back. And eventually I did get them back. But, just because of incompetence at the accounting level and the management level, I wasn't getting paid correctly. And I never would have known that unless I was paying attention to my numbers pretty closely and catching those discrepancies as they came up. But I also worked at a dealership that was excellent when it came to accounting. They had all of their records really ship shape. They did a great job about keeping everything in order. They were very uptight about record keeping and having their systems in place. And it was a really well run store, all things considered. And yet I had a couple mistakes there as well. Like I said, there was a couple times that my name didn't make it onto a deal that I should have been on. There was a couple times that accounting just made a small error and a deal didn't show up on my paycheck completely, right? And because I was tracking my own numbers, every time I got a paycheck, I took my spreadsheet and I compared it to my commission sheet that the dealership was giving me. And when they didn't match up, I could do some detective work, figured out what was missing, and then I let them know about it, and they would just pay me right away, right? So the fact that that was happening even at the best store I was at is just evidence that this is a human enterprise and things are going to go wrong. I don't care how good your store is, eventually someone's going to make a mistake. And it's really important that you're there watching it and catching it so that you don't miss out on those hard-earned commissions. that you deserve. It is your own job to audit your paychecks. I know it's the dealership's job to pay you correctly, but if it doesn't happen, no one else is going to go through and figure that for you. You have to be the one to do it. So make sure that you're not getting underpaid. Otherwise, nothing is going to get fixed. And like I said, this is a huge reason to not rely on your dealership's tracking software, because if they make a mistake, it's going to reflect in their own software. So you have to be doing it separately. Now, in terms of what to track, okay, you're going to want to track the date, the customer name, the vehicle that you sold them, pretty important. It makes it really easy to just glance at your spreadsheet and know exactly what deal it was, because oftentimes I'll remember the name of the customer and the vehicle. And you're also going to want to track the stock number or deal number that that sale is associated with. That way you could really easily look it up in your CRM. Whatever your dealership uses, you know, at my first dealership, we used stock numbers pretty much across the board for record keeping. And at my second dealership, we used deal numbers much more often than stock numbers. So whichever one, you know, your dealer's systems like in terms of looking up figures, you want to put that in there as well. That way you could find it in the dealer system super easily when you're comparing. And you're going to want to put your commission down, of course. That's the big one. How much money did you earn on the deal? If you're making a flat rate, totally fine too. You just want to put, you know, whatever that number is. I earned $200, $300 from this deal. Log that. So you're tracking your numbers, and then your bonuses as well. Bonuses / spiffs. So this is important. You want to be tracking not only the bonuses in your pay plan, but also any other extra money that's coming in from the deal. So for example, my dealership started running a little promotion for us where every time we got a 5-star review on Google, we would get $25, right? So a small little spiff, just a little bit of a extra bonus for us to make sure we get good reviews. That wasn't in our pay plan, but I was tracking it on my spreadsheet because it was real money coming in every month. So it counts. It counts towards my monthly earnings. And some dealerships have a ton of little ways you can earn money like this. You want to be tracking all of it so you can capitalize on those streams of income as well as your main stream of income, which is your commission. So don't leave out the little stuff when you're putting it on your spreadsheet. You're also going to want to make sure that you have some sort of running total of where you're at for the month, because that is going to let you know whether you are on track to hit your goals or not. If you don't have some sort of running total, it's going to be kind of hard to tell whether you need to press on the gas more in order to get to where you want to go. Now, how exactly are you going to be tracking your numbers? Now, you can do it by hand. When I first started, I was doing it by hand. I had spreadsheets that I'm not going to show you because there's customer information all over them, right? But I had just spreadsheets that I literally drew lines on, just a blank sheet of paper. I drew lines on it. I wrote the date, customer name, vehicle, stock number, units, etc. One thing I didn't mention, you want to track your units as well so that you know how many you're at for the month. Most stores have a half deal system where you split it with a coworker. So was this a full deal? Was this a half deal? Maybe you have like a double counter promotion from management. So tracking all that's important too for your volume, especially if it pays into your pay plan. But you can do all this by hand. It's a pain, right? I did it for a while, but the big problem with doing it by hand is that if you lose it, it's gone. That's a big one. You can't edit it. I ended up going back and using whiteout all the time. Huge pain. And then there's no easy way to get your running total for the month unless you add it all up by hand. Or you're just tallying your month to date next to each deal, but you're just doing math. It's a little bit clunkier, more inefficient. If you do track your deals by hand, I guess there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just not as nice as a digital version, which I'll show you here in a second. Make sure you keep it all in one spot. Keep it in a nice folder, organized, safe, so that you don't lose it and you can reference it whenever you want. Now, I prefer spreadsheet software personally, and I'm going to show you here what I use to track my deals and what I was using when I was on the sales floor. So let's switch over to the screen share. This is an example of my sales spreadsheet from 2 years ago, right? I was on the floor back then, before I got promoted to finance and then pretty quickly to general sales manager. This is what I was doing exactly. So I had the date over here on the left, like I mentioned, my customer name and information. I've obviously redacted that for the sake of the video because I don't want to give that to the world, but all my customer names went here. When I say points, I mean my unit count, right? So I sold one car, one deal went on to my pay plan, right? And I have my half deals marked here, 0.5, and we did have some promotions for double counting deals as well. So these ones say 2, and that's because these were likely old age units that management was wanting to incentivize us to sell, so they counted for 2 on our pay plan. I track the source of every single deal. So where did this customer come from initially? Very important. You can see I was getting a lot of internet leads, and I had several phone leads as well, right? I had maybe just a couple ups, a couple turns, but a lot of this was leads from the internet, and then phone calls was my other big source of information here. So if you're paying attention to where your deals are coming in, you're collecting that data, you can know where to focus on, right? So if I'm getting a lot of internet leads, now I can really make sure to focus and nurture my internet clients, because that's where a big source of my business is coming from. If I was getting a ton of phone calls, I'd want to make sure I'm really sitting next to that phone. Every time it rings, I'm grabbing it, because that's working out for me, right? So you can kind of play into your strengths if you're tracking the source. Now, I also track the vehicle and the trade. Trade may be a little bit less necessary. Now, for us, we had some big incentives in terms of trade-ins, so I wanted to make sure I had that on my spreadsheet. You don't have to have it. Really, the vehicle and the trade is just to jog my memory, right? So if I didn't remember a customer just based off the name that I put down, I often remembered what I sold them, and then that would help me kind of reference the deal mentally. So that's why I put the vehicle there. And like I mentioned, at my first store, we used stock numbers. So I tracked all my stock numbers. That way I could just pop it into CRM really easily, find the exact deal. And then I also tracked the type, new and used. I liked to see this data. This isn't as necessary unless your pay plan calls for it. Here's my commission. Lots of big deals this month, right? So nice and good checks coming in. But this is how much I made on any given deal right here. And then my bonuses, right? So I assume this vehicle, oh yeah. So for the trade-ins, we were getting a $300 trade-in bonus. So got $300 here. This was a half deal for the Tundra trade-in, 150 there, right? For street buys, when we purchased a vehicle, I made no money on commission, but we had a $250 flat bonus there and a unit. So this stuff starts adding up. Here, this $1,000 bonus, this is where I hit 12. We had a $1,000 bonus at 12 units. And then it just kept going up and up from there. You can see the bonuses start stacking after 12, which is really great. Now at the bottom, I have a total tally of my units for the month. I finished at 23 units this month based off of my pay plan. Now there was some street buys in here and some double counting deals in here, right? So in actuality, if we take out all of the buys, let's see, this is 4, 6, and then 7. So I actually sold 16 cars, and then the rest were from street buys and other sources of deals that counted towards my pay plan. But 23 is where I ended as far as management was concerned. And then here's the total amount I earned. Really good month. Made $17,195 this month. And I watched that climb up through the month. Now we had a deposit system, so I also tracked deposits here, but that's less important than just tracking your actual sales, of course. One thing that I really want to mention is it's important to tailor your sales tracker to your pay plan. So if you have other sources of income, let's say you're selling warranties or back-end product and you get paid on those as well, you're going to want to add columns and checkboxes for what you sold, as well as how much it added in terms of bonuses or commission for you. So just as an example, here is my spreadsheet from when I was a finance manager, right? So this was the next year, right? 2025, became a finance manager. And I have a bunch more options in here. So I, at this store, track the deal number, date, customer, the type of deal it was, new or used. And then here's my warranty. We had a product called Max Shield, right? Tire wheel. And then this is prepaid maintenance. So I tracked whether I sold it or not on that deal, how much I made in terms of product gross, reserve from the lender. This is the total, and then how much commission I made, which tallies up on this side. So you can see I just tailored it to my pay plan. When I switched to a new store, I was getting paid a different way. I made a new spreadsheet. I started tracking what was important at that store. So it's really important that you make sure this is tailored to you. And then down here at the bottom, track my gross per deal, my PVR. And these are my product penetration rates, 50% warranty, doing pretty good. Commission rate, signed 51 deals this month. Did almost $250,000 in gross. So pretty proud of this. This is my best month ever, and $35,000 commission. So we were killing it this month. Love to see that. Way beat my goal by about 10,000. So cannot complain. Now I have something that I want to offer you guys, which is this simple sales tracker. So I am going to be making this available in my free training group, right? So the link to that group is going to be in the description. It's also in my bio. You can join. We give away a ton of free value, a ton of free training, lots of other salespeople in there that are just winning and posting photos and interacting with each other. It's a great time. I would love for you to come join us. Please, if you're interested, join the group and you can get this free deal spreadsheet that I made just for you. So in terms of filling this out and making your own, if you want to make your own, you just have to make columns and put the information in here. Like I said, I kind of pre-filled this for what might be a pretty normal pay plan. You put the date in, right? Let's say that it's February 5th. Put the customer name in here, the source in here. Let's just say that this was an internet lead. The vehicle, we love Tacomas. I drive a Tacoma, so we'll put a Tacoma in there. The deal number is 555. This was a full deal for me. I made $500 on commission and a $250 spiff bonus. And what you're going to want to do, depending on your spreadsheet software, is make sure that you're formatted for money, for dollars. And usually there's an option up top in order to do that for how much you're making. And then the unit count, you could just leave as a regular number. Now you see I've set this up to track your total units and total earned. Here's a little trick. Most spreadsheet software has this available. Equal sum. This is going to be true, I believe, on Excel and Google Sheets. Equal sum. You just click that, and then you click and drag the column you want to add up. Oops. So it's going to be this whole column here. Hit enter. Now it's going to track. So if I do an extra deal here and so on and so forth, it adds up. And now we're at 6 down at the bottom. And here we can do the exact same thing. Equal sum. Click it, and this time we're going to do both columns because we're adding up the spiffs and the commission. And you hit enter, and you can see we're at 750. Let's say I do a $35,000 deal. Now we're at $35,000. So super easy to add up. I am making this available in the group and would love for you to have it. So please check out the link, join the free group, and download the spreadsheet and start customizing it for yourself. You're going to have to just copy it. You can come up here to File, make a copy, right? Or you could print it, do it by hand, whatever floats your boat. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.